My name is Angela Piscitelli, and I had the privilege to serve as principal of Monsignor Percy Johnson from 1993 to the year 2000. I was placed at Monsignor Johnson in January of 1993, as I said, at the end of first semester. This was my first placement as principal with my very own school, and like any one of the firsts in our lives, I was happy, excited. I knew it would be great. However, 3 days later, I found out from the admission department that only 43 students had registered to Johnson. It was, you must be kidding moment. As we all know, 43 grade 9 students is 2 classes, too small a foundation to build a school on. I asked myself if they had placed me here to close the school. What was the board plan? I called, and actually there was no plan, and I was told everyone knew that I could handle it. So with the attitude of don't curse the darkness, but light a candle, and with the help of excellent vice principals and outstanding and dedicated staff, we got to work. I had always been guided by Bishop Pocock's goals for Catholic education, which was to teach our students to think, to pray, and to serve. To think meant that we would offer them an excellent education, the best possible, and that we would help each student succeed. So let's begin with teaching the students to think. We began with initiatives for the transition and an integrated curriculum. We sent each of the 43 students letters of welcome, invitations to come to high school for a day with their own schedule. Staff went back out to the elementary schools and brought math and English workbooks. We told them they would have a teacher mentor who would teach them both English and religion. We were going to integrate the English and religion curriculum so that literacy could be taught in the religion and the value system transferred from the religion to the literature. We had daily tutorials for them. We offered grade 9 math to students who excelled in math at St. Benny's, and they had the opportunity of gaining a grade 9 credit while still in elementary school. We also started community partnerships. Humber College, we arranged to use their facilities for woodworking and for auto mechanics. We partnered with the Ministry of the Environment to put a weather station on the roof. It involved the interaction with 3 science classes and 1 math class, who would gather the statistics and the information, and we won a Partners in Air Excellence Award for that endeavor. The Catholic School Council was also very important. The parents are the ones that know their children best. I listened to them very carefully, and we tried to meet the student needs. We had math tutorials after school, and these were supported by OAC students. So every night of the week, the math department had an open door policy where students could go, get extra help, and be tutored not only by teachers, but also by the OAC students. So we tried to create the conditions where students would be able to learn to think properly by giving them an education that involved not only people within our own school, but people outside the school bringing information in for our students. The second goal was to teach them to pray and to worship, and that helped us gain the academic goals. And it was through these opportunities of silence and meditation that they heard the word of God, that they discovered who they were and what God expected of them. And it was through the help and guidance of our partnership with the Salesian brothers and sisters at St. Benedict's Church and our school chaplains, retreats, masses, school masses, the prayers in the morning, that I think students were called to know what the school chaplains that called students to goodness through the morning prayers, class retreats and masses, school masses, and all were called to be better, kinder, and extend God's love to those who needed it. It was through these moments of such prayer and moments of grace that I witnessed that we were all inspired to achieve the final goal of service. It is what inspired the Christmas baskets, the Hope Group that went to a downtown homeless center and prepared meals for them, the collection of money for a variety of projects, and the peer facilitator program, and many other initiatives that performed acts of charity and love. So it was the memorable event of starting the school with only 43 students that propelled, I mean, we might have done it anyway, but that really propelled us forward to try to create a school of excellence for the students where they could learn to think, to pray, and to serve. So as I told you about setting up the clean technology with cross-curricular network computer lab and how innovative and groundbreaking this technology was at the time, we were very proud of the AutoCAD program that came in. And in fact, we then brought the publication of the yearbook into the school as a credit. And the people from Commodore came in and in service both staff and students, and Jostens cooperated. So it was a great initiative and very, very exciting for its time to have this computer lab where people could reach out to the world. However, one day when I entered the office, two gentlemen approached me. I didn't know who they were, and they said they needed to speak to the principal on a matter of security. Well, I was the principal, so I ushered them into my office, and they said that they were there on a matter of U.S. security, that the FBI had contacted them, and they had identified Monsignor Johnson and our computer lab as the source of this breach to the White House. Well, it was very easy. They knew the time of day. They knew when it happened. They must have had the IP address because we quickly identified the computer and the student who was using the computer. And he was just a young man, very, very skilled in computers, who wanted to write a good essay. The assignment was to pick an American president. He picked Bill Clinton and thought that getting into the private White House network would be the best source of information. Needless to say, the crisis was overcome, and I think he got quite a good mark on his essay. There were many defining events during my time at Johnson, but there are three that I would like to mention. One, the Quebec referendum that took place on October the 30th, 1995. The Millennium, we were part of the Millennium, and an incident or a happening at our school with one of our students. So let's begin with the Quebec referendum, which challenged the very fabric of our country. And our country survived by a very slim margin of 5.6 in favor of staying and 49.4 to leave Canada. During this time, We again looked outside the school to partnerships. We have a French board within the Catholic school board, and we went to them and to their high school, Saint Noel Chabanel, and during that time, the time of the referendum, we partnered, we did presentations at each other's schools, we talked about the value of the French-Canadian culture, we looked at the history, we looked at all the reasons why Quebec should stay with us. It culminated in a huge assembly at our school. We had also invited elementary school students at it, and we took a vote, and of course, we were 100% in favor of having Quebec stay with us. We collected over 800 signatures to a petition and a greeting to Quebec of "On vous aime." And I think that probably was one of the best history or civic lessons that we taught the students during that time, active learning in a real life situation. And we dedicated 2 or 3 weeks to having the students understand and having the students understand, and also understanding that they can be empowered to make a difference. After this assembly, we went on and had several other assemblies with the question of, who is Canadian? The answer, I am Canadian. And we had, I think, 120 countries of origin from our students, and we had this assembly, and at that time we had a native student. At that time we had a native student in the school who opened the assembly by welcoming us to his land way before the native history that we are now proclaiming in our schools. Okay, then we lived through the millennium, the change of a century, with some trepidation and fear because of the virus, as you recall, the Y2K virus, and the dangers to our computer systems, ranging from airlines to financial databases, government systems, power plants, banking. Thankfully, nothing happened and we made it through. But more importantly, the millennium was also the jubilee in the church calendar of the birth of Christ, and our calling from Pope John Paul to reconcile broken relationships and restore peace and harmony to the world. So, hand in hand with our students, we ushered in a new era for humanity, one that called us to live in God's love. The last was Elizabeth Murillo, a student at Johnson who had had leukemia when she was in elementary school and was in remission when she joined us in grade 9, but in grade 10, the leukemia came back. And the school embraced her with our love, our prayers, our support, our fundraising, and we used the money to conduct a bone marrow clinic at Johnson. That meant that people who came had their blood taken and became possible donors for a match of someone who might need bone marrow. And in fact, Elizabeth found a donor 2 months later, had a transplant in April, and as far as I know, is living a happy life. So, as a result of all our efforts, combined efforts of the school, the community, and the parish, hopefully the students who graduated from Johnson will go out into the world as messengers of hope and peace and love, and with the knowledge that they have the ability to make the world a better place, perhaps through their life's work, but even more importantly, as good fathers and mothers, good sons and daughters, and good citizens of our country.